34-degree clear playoff Sunday night in the shining Queen City of Cincinnati, along the banks of the Ohio River, and a sellout crowd of 67,000 roaring in the jungle as they welcome their defending AFC champions Cincinnati Bengals. Led by quarterback Joe Burrow, and tonight facing All-Pro linebacker Roquan Smith and the Baltimore Ravens in the final AFC game of this Super Wild Card weekend. Thanks for having us in, Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, and Melissa Stark. This is the 3-6 game in the AFC. Division rivals who split the series this year. Last week, the Bengals won on this field. Chris, I was here last year for the wild card game. The question was, can the Bengals win a playoff game for the first time in 31 years? And tonight the question, can they make another run to the Super Bowl?
I think they can. This is an explosive, big play team with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. But, you know, Mike, sometimes those big plays need a little added protection. And the right side of this Bengals offensive line is brand new. So protection of Joe Burrow tonight, job one.
The Ravens MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson out again. His injury is turning into a saga. But Chris, if any team is built to win a game, a playoff game with a backup quarterback, it's the Ravens.
No question about it. The Bengals do have a stronger skill position group than what the Ravens have out there. But this isn't fantasy football. The Ravens are a tough, powerful football team. They can run the football on anybody. And on defense, ever since they got Roquan Smith, they have been absolutely one of the best defenses in football. This is going to be a lot of fun tonight.
Yeah, it's going to be mean too. Ravens win, they go to Kansas City. Bengals win, they go to Buffalo. It's the final spot in the AFC Final Four on the line. Super Wild Card Sunday night in Cincinnati on NBC.
NBC Sports welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Fifth game of Super Wild Card Weekend presented by Verizon. Bengals, the hottest team in the AFC. They've won their last 8. Ravens limping in. They've lost 3 of their last 4, a lot because of their MVP quarterback who hasn't played in a month. For more on that, good evening to Melissa Stark.
Good evening, Mike, and there has been a lot of uncertainty about the status of Lamar Jackson over the past couple of weeks following that injury he sustained in Week 13. The Ravens were hopeful he would return before the playoffs. Instead, he is missing his 6th consecutive game tonight. On Thursday, Jackson took to social media to answer questions for fans and for the team. He wrote that there is still inflammation surrounding his knee, which remains unstable, and ruled himself out of tonight's game, saying he can't give 100%. He did not travel with the team. So in comes Tyler Huntley, the former Utah standout who started 4 games this season in relief of Jackson. He was questionable coming in with a right shoulder and wrist injury, which kept him sidelined last week. Huntley was a game-time decision, but he warmed up, and John Harbaugh just told me Huntley will make his first ever playoff start. Harbaugh said we may also see third-string undrafted rookie quarterback out of Oregon, Anthony Brown, tonight, saying if the team needs a spark, I'm not opposed to that. We'll do whatever's necessary to win this game, Mike.
All cards on the table for the 60-year-old who won the Super Bowl a decade ago. 8 road wins in the playoffs, most by any coach in NFL history. Other side, 39-year-old Zach Taylor, 3rd youngest NFL head coach. 6 wins his first 2 years, 22 the last 2 seasons, AFC title a year ago. So they watch with interest in Kansas City and Buffalo and Jacksonville to figure out the matchups for next week. Down the left side, if the Ravens win, Ravens at KC, Jacksonville at Buffalo. Down the right side, if the Bengals win at home, Jacksonville at Kansas City. Cincinnati goes to Buffalo. Well, as always, great scene before playoff games. The Bengals honor a legend before the game. They call it the ruler of the jungle, T.J. Houshmandzadeh. 8 years a Bengal, also a year as a Ravens receiver as well. Getting the honor of firing up the crowd tonight.
Yeah, he was telling us the Ravens weren't too excited about him being
exactly
here to fire up the Bengals crowd tonight.
Great crowd, limited wind. The kickers put on a show in pregame warm-ups, and both can hit big field goals. It's Justin Tucker who will kick it first for the Ravens, who won the toss and deferred to the second half. Trevion Williams back to receive for the Bengals. NBC's Wild Card Playoff brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places. By Universal Pictures' Knock at the Cabin, only in theaters February 3rd. By DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. And by Northwestern Mutual. See some of the images of the two regular season meetings between these teams, including what has now turned into a hat, t-shirt, and a cigar game for the Bengals. It's been Joe Burrow's tradition going back to winning the national championship at LSU. Lit up Victory Cigars as back-to-back AFC North champions. Cincinnati doing that for the first time in franchise history with the win here last Sunday, thus hosting this 3-6 matchup in the AFC. Melissa gave you a bit of Huntley's story. He played better in his 4 starts at the end of last year than he did in the 4 starts this year. Perhaps the shoulder injury part of limiting his passing yard numbers. He was a high school player of the year in Florida, all Pac-12 quarterback at Utah in 2019. Certainly the biggest start of his football life here tonight. And has its second and goal from the 7 as this first quarter will come to a close. Dominated by the Bengals. They ran 22 of the 27 plays in that first quarter. Just a field goal to show for a 3-0 after 1. Time to check in with Maria, Chris, and Jason in the studio. It's our AWS Next Gen Stats Studio Update. Maria.
Back in Cincinnati with Ravens head coach John Harbaugh. And John, you told us your guys were going to be disciplined. What did you think about that last penalty?
Well, I didn't like the last penalty.
And so what will you tell your guys defensively?
We'll be fine. Our guys will be fine. It's going to be a hard-fought game out here. We're going to play a good game.
And Tyler Huntley with that interception. You said we might see Anthony Brown. What will that take?
We'll just see how the game goes, okay? Thanks.
Thanks, John.
Super Wild Card Weekend presented by Verizon concludes tomorrow night. It's the Cowboys, the Buccaneers, the 5-4 in the NFC. That'll be on ESPN and ABC at 8:15 Eastern Time. And then the NFL Divisional Playoffs presented by Intuit TurboTax. They'll kick off next weekend on CBS, Fox, and NBC. We'll have the matchups, the times as we go through the next 24 hours. Touchback there. Ravens offense will take over at the 25. Ravens offense is missing an MVP piece to the puzzle without Lamar Jackson off the knee injury. Look, when he played 24 points a game, they were 12th in the league. With this defense, that worked really well. However, 13 points a game in the 5 since he's been out, second fewest in the league. It's the first time a team has come into the playoffs scoring 17 or fewer in their final 6 games. Chris, it's been a weekend we've seen teams come from behind and make great charges. That'd be really hard for Baltimore to do if they fall too far behind in this one.
Yeah, I've gotten to the point I don't even pay attention until it's at least 17-0 in these games this weekend, right? And it doesn't mean that Baltimore can't. I mean, they just have to get back to exactly what it is that they do, which is run the football better than anybody else in the National Football League. And I think that's exactly what you're going to see here coming up on this drive.
You're watching Super Wild Card Weekend, presented by Verizon. From Universal City Walk, the ultimate thrill ride, Premier League mornings live. They're down in Orlando for Fan Fest and some good games as well. The build-up to Liverpool, Chelsea, and Sunday it'll be Arsenal and Man U. Premier League morning live all weekend. NBC and Peacock down in Orlando. That's the home of FC Cincinnati. A few blocks from here, beautiful area of downtown. It's where my guy Collinsworth has the PFF World Headquarters too, so got to check it out. It's just a great part of the beautiful rebuild of Cincinnati. This area has just been brought to life here over the last few years. Downtown is a treat to walk around. Tonight's aerial coverage is brought to you by Geico. Welcome you back to Cincinnati, and we welcome you back to Super Wild Card Weekend, presented by Verizon. Jonah Williams, the starting left tackle for the Bengals, was injured on the turnover play, flipped over with the athletic training staff. Big hit by Kyle Hamilton, the first-round pick, who struggled early, but has found a really good role for this Ravens team.
Coming up on the Toyota Halftime, Tony and Rodney will break down the first half. Plus, Jason and Chris on the Bills outlasting the Dolphins, and Daniel Jones leading the Giants to a win in Minnesota. Mike, back to you.
Maria, the reimagined Pro Bowl games presented by Verizon, headed back to Las Vegas. Manning brothers going to lead the AFC and the NFC. The head coaches in the new Skills Challenge, first ever AFC versus NFC flag football game, Sunday, February 5th, 3 Eastern on ABC, ESPN, ESPN Deportes, and Disney XD.
Well, Mike, you saw cornerback Eli Apple laying face down on the ground, screaming in a lot of pain. He came out, went in the medical tent with the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant, spent a couple minutes in there, came back out, put his helmet back on, and so he's good to go.
Okay, next game?
Yes, it does.
Absolutely, right?
Anytime you're inside a division like this, and we've seen it this weekend too, right? Buffalo and Miami going at it for a third time. There are just no surprises. There really aren't. And as soon as Baltimore got back to their style of play, then you saw this team start to take off as well.
That's such a good point. Burrow takes a knee. Carmen played only 4 snaps of offense. Those 4 coming in the last game last week here against the Ravens, who get the ball to start the second half. First 9 scored by Cincinnati. Next 10 by Baltimore. Ravens by 1. The Toyota Halftime with Maria Taylor and company, including the guys here at the stadium. We'll continue after these messages.
Want more stats? Just ask Siri. Who leads the league in passing touchdowns? Tonight's first half highlights are brought to you by Chevrolet.
67,000 roaring in the jungle.
This is going to be a lot of fun.
Huntley's throw in traffic is intercepted. Burrow looks underneath. Chase to the end zone. Touchdown. Huntley looks, flips it. Dobbins open field, stretching to the goal line. Touchdown.
Chevrolet. Find new roads.
Everything you'd expect from Cincinnati and Baltimore in a playoff game. Start of the third quarter, Ravens lead by 1. The difference, the missed extra point. The Ravens drive of 17 plays and 72 yards ties their longest in terms of plays in their postseason history. As for Joe Burrow, sacked 3 times, 5 incompletions, no pass longer than 20 yards. Matter of fact, there hasn't been a play longer than 20 yards in the entire game tonight. Burrow was good early. Matter of fact, the Bengals were terrific in the first quarter. They dominated the first quarter, had it for 12.5 minutes, and the Ravens almost ran the exact same script back the other way. They had it for 12:34 of the second quarter, so this game is even in so many ways, except for the McPherson missed extra point. So quarter 3 on this night with a temperature in the mid-30s here in Cincinnati. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark, Terry McCauley, our rules analyst, 3-time Super Bowl referee.
Mike, Bengals head coach Zach Taylor came over to me at halftime and said, it's the AFC North. This is, and players walking by me. He's apologizing, all good. This is how it always goes. You have to maximize your opportunities. You're not going to get many of them. Defensively, we cannot give them a short field, and we cannot commit penalties. His message to the team, we knew it would be this type of game. We'll be fine. An injury update on left tackle Jonah Williams. He's officially questionable with that left knee. As we saw before halftime, Jackson Carman takes his spot in the lineup.
And NBC's Wildcard Playoff is brought to you by Hyundai, it's your journey. By Intuit TurboTax. By Sky Rizzi. And by Accenture, let there be change. Look at some of the images of the playoff games so far on this Super Wildcard weekend, including the Giants going to Minnesota and winning. Now, will Mike McDonald or Zach Taylor find a way? Zach's brother, Press Taylor, offensive coordinator with Jacksonville. Their massive comeback last night here on NBC to beat the Chargers after being down 27-0. The touch of the 2. Bengals up 7. The road to WrestleMania begins at Royal Rumble. 30 men, 30 women competing for championship matches at WrestleMania. It's Royal Rumble live Saturday night, January 28th. The premium live event only on Peacock. See the American Sign Museum here in Cincinnati, dedicated to a century of American signs. Overall pick out of LSU off the national championship. Got a lot cool about him, right? You see him when he walks in. He's been great, too, on the field. The passing yards, 4th in the NFL since 2021. Last 2 seasons, he's been terrific as healthy. 69 passing touchdowns along with Mahomes and Josh Allen. And the accuracy, too. You put all the stats together, it gives you the passer rating. Best in the league the last 2 years. So it wasn't really super fashionable for this guy. He was on the New York Times style list that was put out at the end of the year. Kind of low-key for the playoffs. However, look at Collinsworth there. Hey, yeah, nice to see you. Moving on. Our cameras are everywhere.
All right, now seriously, I know he's on the New York Times and all that.
Yeah.
I outstyle him today.
Yeah, tonight you do. The scarf is sweet.
I got him. Yeah, thank you.
Well, Joe Burrow's dad, Jimmy, said that if you saw Joe out in public, which is rare because he doesn't like the spotlight, he's in sweatpants. But he knows his son likes to play it up on game day. And he said that Joe's always liked to wear shades. His mom, Robin, told me that when Joe was a baby, his eyes were very sensitive. They'd water in the sun. So she bought him sunglasses, noting that those were from the Dollar Tree. They certainly were not the Cartier sunglasses that he wears now.
No, stylish now on field to go for the Ravens. Final minute, 3rd quarter, all tied at 17. All even at 17. What happens in the next quarter plus determines this. If the Ravens win, they go to Arrowhead, and Jacksonville goes to Buffalo. If the Bengals win, Jacksonville goes to KC, and Cincinnati will head up to Orchard Park. So and we've got 1 quarter or maybe more to determine the last AFC team in the Final 4 for this season. After 3, Ravens 17, Bengals 17. You're watching Super Wild Card Weekend, presented by Verizon. From Cincinnati, tonight's aerial coverage is brought to you by Geico. And we welcome you back to Super Wild Card Weekend, presented by Verizon. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth, Melissa Stark, Terry McCauley, our rules analyst. A quarter to decide who moves on. As we settle into the final 4 teams left to win the AFC slot to Super Bowl 57. Ravens take over at their own 19-yard line. 7:18 to go, trailing by 7. Tyler Huntley in this role as Lamar Jackson continues to remain out with his knee injury. There's the number for Huntley. That key play down by the goal line, not shown there. Burrow under pressure with the reworked offensive line, sacked 4 times. An awful back-to-back series of snaps there. Magnum PIs coming to NBC. Escape to Hawaii with Magnum, Higgins, and the whole Ohana. Get in on the action, premiering February 19th on NBC.
Well, here we go.
Can the Ravens rally to force overtime? If they do and they win, the Ravens go to Kansas City on divisional playoff weekend. Jacksonville will go to Buffalo. If the Bengals hold on through these 3-14, Jaguars go to Arrowhead, Bengals go to Orchard Park. Here we go. Terrific starting field position. Wow! And the Ravens season ends. Very quick handshake with Harbaugh and Taylor. The Bengals are bound for Orchard Park, and the Jaguars are heading to Arrowhead. What a finish. And as usual in the AFC North, it is that close. A small margin either way. Chris, the final play.
It was Trey Hendrickson who got the pressure that was going to force Huntley
to backpedal and stagger a bit, throws it up in the air. Ball is tipped, and there was an opportunity for James Brochet. Let's see how close he came.
Oh,
Wow.
he got one hand on it. Apple goes up, Hill goes up, Dell goes up. Brochet was inches away from one of the most dramatic touchdowns. Joe Cool, exhale, going on. And the difference in the game, down by that same end zone. Huntley trying to extend it for the lead. It's knocked out. And Sam Hubbard, the hometown hero, takes it all the way, 98 yards. Huntley extended it, but it didn't break the play. Heartbroken. Zach Taylor and the defending AFC champs off to Orchard Park. NBC's wildcard playoff postgame coming up. But first, these messages from your local NBC station.
You've been watching Super Wildcard Weekend, presented by Verizon. Welcome to NBC's Wildcard Playoff Postgame. Here now, Mike Tirico.
Well, it was the first win in 31 years in the playoffs of the Bengals last year, and they took it all the way to the Super Bowl. They get another home wildcard playoff win that comes down to the very end. 24-17, ending the Baltimore Ravens season at 10-8. Dramatic finish, game tied at 17. The defensive score, the cigar earners are players of the game. Joe Burrow, Sam Hubbard, and Jamar Chase. Hubbard with the big defensive play. Stars of the game standing by now with Melissa.
Well, we got to start with this guy right here because you had the longest fumble return touchdown in playoff history. And it was the go-ahead touchdown. Walk us through it.
Hey, just a credit to whoever punched that ball out. I was in the right place at the right time and was just worried about getting hogged down. I'm glad I made it to the end zone without getting tracked.
Well, you did this in front of your hometown crowd. What was going through your mind?
Just get to the end zone. We know that these playoff games are never pretty, and by any means, we just had to get it done. Great team effort by everybody, guys stepping up left and right. That's playoff football.
Joe, what were you thinking while you were watching him run it back?
Go, run faster. Big time play, won us the game. A hard-fought win. It's always tough against those guys.
Yeah, you guys told us all week long, it's the AFC North. We know what we're going to expect. High emotion, back and forth game. How do you describe this win?
Hard fought. That's how it is in the playoffs, especially when you play a divisional team for the third time. It's never going to be easy. They know us, we know them. It's nice to get the win.
And now you guys play Buffalo. You get the chance to play them after the regular season game was canceled. What can we expect?
Well, hopefully more of the just high-flying offense. You know, they're really good on offense and really good on defense. You know, I think they're top 5 in scoring defense in the regular season. So we're going to have our hands full with them, but we've been in these moments.
What are you looking forward to in that matchup next week against the Buffalo Bills, Sam?
It's going to be a great, we're going on the road. I kind of like going on the road with this team. We got it. All we need is us mentality, and I go to war with these guys anywhere.
You guys both got the game ball. It's probably your first game ball ever, right?
I think so. I don't know. Maybe this big, but I'll take it.
Congratulations, guys.
Great win for them. They head off to Orchard Park next weekend. Some reminders here. You can hit the road with Poker Face, a new series starring Natasha Lyonne, and from the writer director of Knives Out. It streams January 26th. Plus, catch reality TV A-listers in the new competition series, The Traders. And don't miss the Premier League this Thursday. It's City taking on Tottenham, 3 Eastern, only on Peacock. Hubbard and Burrow walk into the locker room. When will they play next? We'll tell you. We'll have the schedule for divisional playoff weekend when we come back. Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars, who were there week 10, lost to the Chiefs. They will play Kansas City on Saturday. Saturday night, the Giants, congratulations to Brian Daboll. What an effort in Minneapolis. They'll go to Philadelphia to take on the Eagles, a division battle in the divisional playoffs. And then 1 week from today on CBS, that game, by the way, on Fox, the Giants-Eagles, on CBS and Paramount Plus, it'll be the Bengals and Bills. Of course, much to talk about with that game, the game that was played here and then not continued on after the injury with Damar Hamlin and the medical emergency with Hamlin. They'll have that game finally played, and it will be in Orchard Park. And the winner of tomorrow night's Cowboys-Bucks game on ABC and ESPN will play the 49ers in Santa Clara. That game will be the late game 1 week from tonight, and that'll be on Fox. So, Chris, let's spin to our game. We'll see the Jaguars and the Chiefs with a very familiar head coaching matchup. Guys who've known each other for a long time.
Yeah, Doug Peterson, he both played and coached with Andy Reid, right? And so that's going to be a lot of fun. And Trevor Lawrence, how about what he did the other night? I mean, that was as big a train wreck as you could find in the first half of that game. Pieced it all back together, come back out, stick to the game plan, end up pulling out a miraculous victory. Really, it was amazing.
The rally from down 27-0, so the Jaguars now have been through it once. They know what it takes, and they've been to Arrowhead, and that's when their season hit bottom. They've turned around very different teams. So we look forward to getting ready for that one. We'll see the Jaguars and the Chiefs on Saturday afternoon to start divisional playoff weekend. All the games after the first one on Saturday have been one-score games in this wild card weekend, and this was another terrific one.
Super wild card weekend. That's what we got.
It has been super, and for Cincinnati, every win means a cigar. The fans will. You can do two things. You can fight traffic. You can enjoy your stogie in the cold. That man chose the latter. Fun night, Cincinnati 24, Baltimore 17. Coming up next, except on the West Coast, it is your local news. Thanks to the Hall of Famer Drew Esikoff, our director, the great Rob Hyland, our producer, with Chris Collinsworth, who gets to drive home tonight. Enjoy that. Melissa Stark, Terry McCauley, our entire NBC Sports team. Mike Tirico, good night from Cincinnati, where the Bengals beat the Ravens 24-17.